Good morning, I'm Geoff Kirbyson with the Winnipeg Free Press, and I'm here at the Winnipeg Free Press News Café with His Excellence Bruno van der Pluijm, who is the Belgian Ambassador to Canada, and Mariette Mulaire, who is the President and CEO of ANIM, Manitoba's bilingual trade agency. Welcome to Winnipeg.
Thank you.
Bruno, can you tell us a little bit about why you're here?
It's very much a fact-finding visit to the province of Manitoba. We have jurisdiction over all of Canada, the 10 provinces, and we try to set some time aside and to have an in-depth visit to each and every single province. Well, first to get a feeling of what life is about in the province, but also to identify areas for future collaboration. Well, that has brought me now to Manitoba yesterday, today, tomorrow. We have meetings with government. I'll be meeting the Prime Minister later in the day. I had a meeting with the Minister of Finance yesterday. We have meetings with senior administration in certain sectors that mainly trade related, that are of common interest. We will meet representatives of the 2 universities this afternoon to see whether there is room for a better, more intense collaboration in the area of higher education. Last but not least, very important Belgian community living in Manitoba, Winnipeg and wider Winnipeg, and so on Wednesday we'll go out and visit some of the communities that are still today demographically majority Belgian populated, and have a social event with the Belgian community here in Winnipeg in the Belgian Club.
Can you tell us how big the Belgian community is in Manitoba?
People, so Manitobans of Belgian origin, Belgian descent, that's in the thousands, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, who knows. It's a migration that goes back to the early 20th century. Now, a lot of those people don't have Belgian citizenship anymore, so they've become, for all practical purposes, Canadians and Manitobans in this case. So if it's people that still hold Belgian citizenship, and yes or not combined with Canadian citizenship, then it's the number is a lot smaller. But I understand, for example, to give a ballpark figure, that membership at the Belgian club still today goes into the thousands. So that's it's probably on the Canadian scale the province with the highest numbers in terms of migration from Belgium, together with Ontario, Saskatchewan.
You mentioned a meeting with Greg Selinger today. Are there any goals for your meetings with Manitobans this week?
Well, the goals are the same. It's to take stock of where we are in terms of the bilateral relation, and see how we can take it to another level, to a next level, and that again is mainly trade related, but not exclusively trade related. It can be in areas of higher education. In the case of Manitoba, there is the whole dimension of bilingualism. Belgium, like Canada, is a bilingual or even a trilingual country. We should not forget German as an official language in the case of Belgium. So there are many areas where collaboration could be intensified, but it takes informed decisions back home, and that's the purpose of this visit, is to to make sure that information is available to those who would have, in our case, to decide to go a step further.
Now, Mariette would like to see you take many steps further, or let the Belgian community to do so with Centralia. So, Mariette, maybe you could tell us a little bit about this year's conference and what you would hope to achieve with people from the Belgian community.
Well, Centralia is it's a business-to-business forum. It's an international forum. We coin it as the speed dating for businesses, because businesses come here to meet other businesses from across the world. And it's small, medium-sized businesses mostly, and it is multi-sector, so it's all sectors. And for us, we felt very strongly that Belgium representation would be a plus. We share a lot of commonalities with Belgium. We also have had some interaction already with Belgians Plus, we had a delegation of about 12 people last time from Belgium, so we know that there's even more to go get. One of the challenges we always face in Manitoba when we get out of the country is people might not know where Winnipeg or Manitoba is. So the visit from Monsieur l'Ambassadeur is very important for us because it's showing an interest, a real interest in our province, a real interest in what's going on, what are some of the trade possibilities, what are the opportunities that could be evident for some Belgian people looking at Canada, and why not Manitoba? We know they know Canada, but they not necessarily know all the opportunities, and we know that today in Manitoba there's a lot going on. There's Centralia, absolutely, in October 2012. It would be a great opportunity to welcome the world and to welcome, of course, people from Belgium in Manitoba.
How strong are the Francophone connections between the two countries?
Well, for us, we definitely use our bilingualism to go after countries like Belgium that also have a strong French community. There's an area called Wallonie in Belgium, which is very much the Francophone basket of Belgium, and we've had lots of links with them. We've done some projects with Belgium, mostly at a smaller level between two small businesses looking at potential. We had a pretty good trade opportunity between a Belgian company and a local company here in Manitoba around the windmills, and it was one of the first ones that we really found out about. Sometimes there's things going on, but we don't necessarily find out about it until way later when there's a lot more going on and that the entrepreneur has gone beyond that. But it's very interesting to know that sometimes it's just knowing about the opportunities, and for us it's to try and capture the opportunities and make sure that they become a good business trade for both sides.
Okay. Now, Bruno, the U.S. is Canada's biggest trading partner. A lot of people might not know about the opportunities between Canada and Belgium. Can you give us just a quick snapshot of Belgium?
In today's state of affairs, I think Europe is a second market to Canada as a whole. It's difficult to disaggregate over provinces and then bring it to the level of Manitoba versus the world, or province X, Y, Z versus the world. Now, within Europe, we obviously have, within the 27 member states, at least 3 or 4 that are G8 economies, France, Germany, UK, and it makes no sense to compare the Belgian data against those G8 powerhouses. But when we go to the next tier of the mid-size economies in Europe, then actually Belgium is performing very well in terms of Canada-Europe trade relations, and we are probably leading the next peloton, as we call it, with a term from cyclism. Belgium is known for cyclism. Now, to put a ballpark figure on it, it's about 2 billion each way a year in trade, mainly pharmaceuticals. But beyond the traditional trade flows, there is increasingly trade in services, investment, movement of people, and all that is not captured by those statistics. So the reality is probably a lot more important and very difficult to quantify. It's a challenge that we are all facing with, is to try to get the precise assessment of. I think there's a lot more than meets the eye in terms of that relation. Belgium investment Canada-wide stands for thousands and thousands of jobs that people are not necessarily aware of. And it's also our job, of course, to make them, to make sure that awareness exists. But more importantly, towards the future, I think there are tremendous opportunities looking at us, and it's very much an issue that we have debated here yesterday and will hopefully do so later in the day. That's the current negotiation on free trade between Europe and Canada, which is in its final stage. We aim to finalize it by the summer, and I think the time has come now to slowly move to the next stage. That is, once that treaty is signed, well, how are we going to change real-life behavior of economic operators to make sure that we seize all the opportunities that come out of that. And that is a reflection that has to take place at the level of the provinces, in this case Manitoba, and at the level of individual member states of the European Union, because that's where we go from a negotiated framework to the real nuts and bolts of economic life, and that's one of the priorities of this visit, and we have high ambitions for that treaty.
Well, that's interesting, because I think for a lot of people who might not necessarily follow the relationship, Belgium is best known for exporting beer and tennis players.
And chocolate.
And chocolate,
diamonds,
yeah.
Waffles?
Waffles. And, well, I'm not sure whether we export waffles, but we eat them a lot and we produce them for sure.
For the recipe.
Yes.
We eat waffles here too. Okay. And there's also, of course, in Canada we've got lots of hockey players and a big hockey league, and there is a hockey connection between the two countries also.
Yes, it's a one-way connection. I think that we take more of your players for our teams than we send Belgian players to your teams, but you never know what the future will hold. So
just like chocolates, we take more of your chocolates.
But there aren't any Belgian hockey players in the NHL.
No, not that I'm aware of. If there is hiding one out there, please give me.
Okay. But news of the return of the NHL to Winnipeg, that kind of news travels across the ocean.
Well, it's big news for Winnipeg. So yes, to the extent that became headline news in Canada, it also creates ripples across. So yes, I was aware of that. Haven't had the opportunity yet to visit a match, but hopefully in the near future I will.
Oh, don't feel bad. Bobby Hull hasn't been invited to a game either. He was arguably our most famous hockey player. Now, considering you're based in Ottawa, you have of course heard of the Canadian Museum for Human Rights.
Sure.
I'm wondering if you think that is a potential tourism attraction that might attract people from Belgium.
Yes, I actually had a meeting with management of the museum yesterday to understand first what the project is about, because it's well beyond the building, and what I've seen, the skeleton of the building is a spectacular piece of architecture. It's will be a tremendous addition to the Winnipeg skyline. But yeah, museum on human rights. I mean, it's not an obvious mission. It's not something where it's not an artifact-based concept where you put things on display. So it's very interesting to learn how they see also the content part of the museum, and I think well, I take with me a lot of enthusiasm, excitement, and I look forward to the opening, and I'm sure that we would be able to contribute also to certain parts of the museum. Is this going to draw a lot of tourists to Winnipeg? For initiatives like that, we have a spectacular example in Europe, and it's called Bilbao, the city of Bilbao. If you can copy where another landmark museum, architecture-wise, in this case Frank Gehry, was put in an abandoned part of the city, and it turned around the whole city, and it's continued. So if that's going to happen to Winnipeg as well, and everything indicates that it will, well, then the future will hold a lot of promise here, and for sure Belgium will contribute to that.
It's interesting you mentioned Bilbao as an example, because one of the real spearheader behind this whole project, Gail Asper, has always used that example as build it and they will come, but you have to build something that means something to people. Exactly. I think human rights means something to everybody, so I'm sure it's going to be a great asset for our city.
Well, Bruno, I know you have to get on with the rest of your day and go meet with Greg Salinger, so thanks very much for dropping by.
My pleasure.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Mariette.
Merci.
Should I have done a little outro there before I started talking like that?